Well, back to politics now. The ANC has been dealt a heavy blow following the local government elections. Despite opposition parties failing to form concrete coalitions, they have joined forces to vote in DA mayors in Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane. What does this mean for the ANC and for the factional fighting within the party? Well, let's speak about this and other issues with the political analyst, Professor Sipho Seepe, who joins me now for that conversation. So, Prof. Seepe, what we've seen in Gauteng, the loss of the 3 metros, these are big electoral prizes in any given electoral year. What should we be reading into it? Is it curtains for the ANC, or is this a temporary setback, as they say, to retreat is not to surrender, but basically to gather strength? What should we be making of this? Is this seismic in terms of the shift in politics?
Well, it is seismic. I mean, you lose the major metros in a province like Gauteng, which is the real hub of South Africa's economy. So you have lost that. But what they need to also learn from this is also to accept a number of things. One, that the ANC must stop believing in its own propaganda. And because it went into these elections having a particular message that it thought the people would buy. So the sooner they dispense with that notion that they can determine and they know the mind of the voter, the better. So they went into this election saying, we are going to present a candidate who is even more popular than the ANC. And what happened on the ground is that the very same person who was said to be more popular by the ANC was being booed by ordinary people in places like Soweto. So if you have that, that means your lenses are out of focus, because you may be listening to the wrong advices. Maybe Ramaphosa may be popular in a white space, but what we saw, the booing in black townships, in black areas, suggests something else. So the sooner they accept that, that's the first thing. The second thing is to accept that people are not going to vote on the basis of looking at one individual. They are going to vote on the basis of what the people have experienced on the ground. So it doesn't matter whether you put an angel on your ballot box, but these were local elections, and the people are going to look at that. And to simply say, here, it doesn't matter what those people at the national level are saying. This is an experience that we feel on the ground. So there has been a delinking between people's experiences and what the national leadership is thinking. So the sooner they bridge that gap and they listen to people on the ground, the better.
But
then the third thing is that...
Go ahead, Prof.
Go ahead. And the third thing is that people are going to be measured by performance, not promises. The ANC has had a number of opportunities, and it has failed. And now when you listen to the language of the ANC, they are saying, no, even though we are in opposition, we're going to be concerned about the people on the ground. We're going to be concerned about delivery and all that. And the question is, what were you doing all these years? Yeah. You should have been concerned about those issues. You cannot jump after losing elections and then say, now we're going to focus on our people. You should have done that. And you need to understand that once a party is in power, that provides an opportunity for the party to campaign using state resources, because people vote on the basis of what they see all the time. And the governing party has a benefits of incumbency. Yeah. So we've seen that when the ANC loses a place, it becomes very difficult for them to regain it. So this notion of a temporary setback, if you look at it against what happened in the Western Cape when they lost the city of Cape Town, they said exactly the same thing. They lost the Western Cape province. They said the same thing, and they kept on losing. So once you lose, you should know that you take yourself out of the game for a period of 5 years. So this is very serious, and it has actually reshaped our politics.
Yes, talk to me about that, Prof. Seepe, the reshaping of our politics. How much of what we've seen today can inform us in terms of what we can expect in 2024? Because I do believe that many of these parties are working with that in mind. Mind you, not all these parties had a great stellar performance at the polls. Just a week or 2 weeks ago, that was the conversation we were having, that, for instance, the DA didn't really enthuse ordinary voters to the level that it would have wanted to basically keep growing, and so did the EFF as well. Action SA was perhaps the news story that we were telling a few weeks ago. So those parties that are in opposition and the ANC, how much of this outcome that we are seeing now can we project onto what 2024 is likely to look like?
Yeah, now that these parties are now in position of influence in government, what it means that they've taken the space that the ANC would have used to its advantage. Remember, once people become mayors, there's a lot of attention. They have far greater, what you may call press access. The media talks about them. They don't talk about people who are not in power. So that they would use to their advantage, because they entered this with that understanding. But secondly, the ANC cannot run away from the fact that it has been punished. When you have you go below 50%, that is a clear message that people are no longer happy with you. And we know that when parties are in trouble, or when parties are in power, the level of support almost diminishes with time. So this is what we've seen happening with the ANC. And what the voters are also saying to the ANC, which seems to be also unable to self-reflect and self-introspect, is that whatever you have been doing in the last 4 years, we, the voters, have not been impressed. The ANC has been so inwardly looking. And if you listen to the level of factionalism, these are people who are not going to say, let's stop this triumphalist posture. Let's start focusing on the people. They would want to finish their project of getting rid of the other faction that they did not like. And the voters are saying, you can get busy with that, but we're not going to be impressed. The question is whether the ANC has that capability of moving away from that position. The other issue that people see is what they suspect are the use of state institutions to settle political scores. The fact that you have people being charged and then you have this level of incompetence by the state. I mean, you've just been dealing with one where the state was unprepared for a case that they themselves have put on the table, where they have charged somebody. And you see this going on over a time. And when that happens, then you come up with this notion of step aside. People on the ground say, maybe these are not real charges. These are really about removing people. So these are the issues that the ANC must concern itself with. Right. That if you hold a view, make sure that it becomes consistently implemented. It cannot be selective.
Right. Professor Sipho Seepe, thank you for your time. And I'm just wondering, as you are as well, about whether or not the ANC still knows where the abort button is in as far as the factional fights are concerned. Because I think they all see that these factions are destroying us, but I think no one can find where the abort button is at this particular point. Professor Sipho Seepe, they're weighing in on those issues around the ANC and possible implications for 2024.